Alright, so this latest chapter of Black Clover was all about that action, and boy was it intense. With the previous chapter, YUNO had just awoken the power of his second grimoire, much to the surprise of Zenon. Suddenly, YUNO had far more devastating power at his disposal, as this magic was in fact the result of generations of Spade Kingdom royalty. This was star magic, and with its power along with the spiritual power he gained from Sylph, YUNO was looking pretty damn powerful. And so once he was able to send Langris and Finral on their way, he and Zenon would clash yet again. With star magic, YUNO was able to create shields, teleport between stars, and create a beam attack. And according to him, the pages of his second grimoire were written to specifically defeat his opponent. He was going to prove that the choices he had made were the right ones, a sentiment which thoroughly pissed Zenon off. They'd let their powers fly all around the room before clashing with their blades. With this latest chapter, after their blades had connected, the two would push one another backwards. However, YUNO had deliberately done so to Zenon for the sake of flinging him towards yet another star, as again YUNO would teleport behind his opponent. From there, YUNO would unveil another technique of star magic that allowed him to pretty much trail a whip-like strike and extend its power from one star to the next. This split Zenon in two, but was quickly healed as Zenon would summon forth a blade-based combination of his bone and spatial magics. From a distance, he'd begin to swing it around very quickly and destroy much of the battlefield. It was simply impossible to defend against such spiritual ruptures. Even YUNO's stars would be destroyed, which was really bad because they could not be restored immediately. And at that very moment, Zenon would begin to think back and recall the words of his eldest brother, that the weak die far too easily, making their protection an impossibility. And so for that reason, the best that they could hope to do was destroy all of humanity's weakness at once, allowing them to then be reborn in undying bodies. That thanks to the power they had obtained from the devils, the four of them, the Zogratis siblings, would have the power to remake humanity. It's really interesting to see Vanica and Dante during their younger days with only minor devil marks on their faces here, and this final sibling of theirs just continues to be more and more suspicious as we go on, because here his face is obscured for some reason. They planned on creating a Spade Kingdom that knew true peace, had happy citizens, and no longer feared death. A concept I feel each of them ran with in different ways for the sake of different purposes. For Dante, a world of only the strong was something he felt he was fit to rule over. He paraded himself like royalty because he believed himself to be the apex predator of the world. For Vanica, a world where everyone was strong would be a world of challenges for her. She wanted to fight strong opponents, and this would make that far easier. And it would seem that she very closely associates friendship and or intimacy with power, and so a world of the strong could serve to be a world in which she was truly happy in. And as for Zenon, a world of the strong would be one where nobody would have to suffer at the hands of another who was more powerful. Everyone would have a fair shot, and everyone would be safe. As he saw it, this path of his was all for the benefit of the Spade Kingdom. But in the present, Zenon would continue to chase after YUNO with each successive strike until eventually YUNO would see an opportunity before himself that would allow him to pull out his trump card. Now summoning his weapon above Zenon, the two would have their magic clash against one another as a portion of Zenon's chest would be broken into as well, exposing his heart. To himself, Zenon would think that he had destroyed each of YUNO's stars and that YUNO had no way of destroying a devil's heart. And so yet again, this would be his victory. However, this time, something was different. YUNO would swiftly exchange his mighty halberd for a sword. Saint Stage as we know it is the near 100% resonance between a spirit and a host. And because YUNO had been fighting like this on the verge of death for so long, he, like Noel, had finally unlocked this state. This was the power to destroy devils. And despite Zenon breaking holes into space to have his bones puncture through and stab YUNO, the boy now overflowing with this power would not stop. Zenon would then begin to smile a wicked smile, slash, and proclaim his victory. But unfortunately for him, he had cleaved into nothing. But as it turns out, if you are strong enough, a new star may be born, as YUNO would again teleport behind the defenseless fiend as his own magic began to fade and proclaim that this was their victory as he would slash right through Zenon entirely, cutting through his heart, and that was the chapter. Wow, YUNO finally did it. What an absolutely massive W. Now, if you have seen our previous video, which plays Asta versus YUNO right now, despite seeing more of what star magic is capable of with this chapter, I don't think it changes much about our outcome at all. Either way, I'm sure Asta will be very proud of his rival's victory here. But you know what, on the point of comparing YUNO to Noelle that some people found fault in, as indicated by this chapter, YUNO has only just now achieved Saint Stage magic. Noelle, on the other hand, possessed it for the entirety of her fight against Vannaka and later Megecula. And so at that point in time, my opinion still stands. I also don't believe the power discrepancy between 100% Zenon without a Devil's Heart and 100% Vannaka to be all that vast. I'm willing to admit that Zenon is probably intended to be stronger than his sister, but certainly not by any major margin. That being said, I feel like discerning who is stronger between YUNO and Noelle right now is more complicated of a question than YUNO versus Asta can be. But now that he's achieved Saint Stage and pulled out a second grimoire, I would probably give him a win over Noelle. But you know what, in the case of this fight between YUNO and Zenon, I'm curious how YUNO knew this final strike would actually do the trick, considering he doesn't actually know about Saint Stage magic. Was it just an instinctual thing, or did he just think that if he kept hitting him, eventually something would work? That part I'm pretty confused by, but even still, an amazing fight between these two nevertheless. We really hope you guys enjoyed the chapter and our coverage of it. If you did, be sure to subscribe to Plot Armor with notifications on to keep up with all that we do, because when it comes to bringing you some of the best Black Clover content on the platform, Plot Armor has you covered. As always, I'm Sliceable Taku. Thank you all so much for watching and have an awesome day. I love you.